Well, this video was supposed to come out on December 31st, and then that didn't happen, and then it was supposed to come out on January 1st, but then I had to read One Piece for the Nensho, so I ended up putting this off, and now it's like a week late. I hope that's not a sign of things to come for 2019. Also, this is a thing that I normally did on my wrestling channel, so I'm continuing the trend here. I didn't know how to brand it now, though, because it was always state of the channel, because I'd always talk about the wrestling channel, but now I have multiple channels, so is it state of the channel? Is it state of the channels? I don't know. So I made images for both. I don't know. Anyway, here's the rest of the video. It's the end of 2018. Wait, what? No, it's already 2019. Shit. Normally I have a tradition, or at least I've been doing pretty good at it for the last 3 years on the wrestling channel, where I've done a year-end, like, recap retrospective thing, and I didn't get to do that this year, because I planned poorly, and I also wasn't able to record audio at all, so I just didn't have the opportunity even to fit it into my schedule. So I'm late, but here's a 2018 retrospective anyway, and not like the 10 AnyTube videos one, because that was different. That was about AnyTube videos. This one's about me. So let's talk about me round 3. Let's go. Something. What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I guess that basically sums up 2018. What was I doing? Lots of things happened. Where do I even begin? I guess I can start with YouTube, because I like to split this up into categories, so YouTube seems like as good a place to start as any. One of the things I realized in 2018 that for some reason I wasn't able to pick up on in 2017 because my brain is weird, I realized that for the 4 years or so that I was making wrestling videos, and only making wrestling videos, I had gotten so used to getting a kind of validation by the quantity of content I was putting out. Yes, I did over time get better at, I think, making higher quality content in some aspects, like my main project that I've been working on for like 6 years, my universe mode. I've gotten way better at editing that and just making the story for that. Like, that series is it's basically fan fiction with wrestling, so I am telling a story through that product, and I think I've gotten all around just better with making that. And over time, it has gotten more editing intensive, and it requires more time to put together. But even then, like, I would have a Pokemon Let's Play as a side project, or a wrestling commentary thing, which was basically also a Let's Play. So much more lower effort stuff that I could put out. And so I got so used to, at times I just got so ahead with scheduling because of how easy it was to record those side projects and edit them, which really not much editing involved. Just make sure the commentary lines up and boom, render it, you're good. So there were times where I could put out like daily videos, like 7 videos a week, and also have a backlog, just because that was the nature of the content I was producing. It was just that easy to do with some of the projects. And so I would have plenty of time to edit my universe mode, the more editing intensive stuff, because I'd have all this other stuff kind of propping that up, and propping up my, I guess, need for validation, the need to have a piece of content out, maybe if not every day, every other day, or have maybe like 2 or 3 videos a week, which was a pretty easy pace I could hit, having 2 or 3 videos out a week. Obviously, things are different when I'm making an anime video, where I have to write the script for that, so that takes time. I have to, even just like with audio recording, things are different, because I have to cut out all the bad takes, and I have to make it one script. I can't have a bunch of, flub takes in there or whatnot, and I'll have to, make sure I get the delivery right. I'm not super fond of my voice and my delivery at all times, so things have gotten, if anything, I almost feel like I take a little longer nowadays to make sure that I get the delivery the way I want it. Even then, I don't always get the delivery the way I want it, but regardless, that was a bit of a tangent. But even like with audio, like if I do a wrestling commentary or a Pokemon thing, which is just like a Let's Play, I just talk over the thing, I don't really have to cut that down. Like, if I make a mistake, I'll probably go back and fix it, but that's basically, if I make like an hour-long wrestling video, I don't have to chop that up because like if I made an hour-long anime video, that would probably take like 3 hours to record to get rid of all the bad takes and everything. So there's just less audio editing involved, there's less video editing involved, because with the anime videos, I am, at least if I'm using anime footage, I'm generally cutting it down to less than 10-second clips, sometimes less than 5-second clips. So I can't reasonably put out 3, like even 2 or 3 anime videos a week. That's just not a pace I can reasonably hit. And I realized that, like I figured that out in 2017, but I didn't seem to figure out that, fuck, my audio's cracking again, no. Somehow in 2017, I didn't figure out that maybe my previous form of content validation wasn't great for me, but I'm able to, like, I've realized that now. I don't really know how to fix it. Like, I can acknowledge that, yes, I can't put out videos that quickly anymore. And, you know, if I want to make better videos, it would behoove me to not put out videos that frequently. But anxiety is irrational, so I don't think that'll be enough to get over it. But hey, at least I've made the first step. And I will keep trying to not feel bad about me and my work. Anywho, on the topic of an uploading schedule, the other, I guess, inhibitor of that, is inhibitor the word I want to use? It's the word I'm using. But the other thing that kind of detracted from where I want to be was the side projects that I needed to wrap up in 2018. Because that's another standard that I had held myself to in the past. As a viewer, when I would watch a lot of Let's Play stuff, I would get so irritated when people would start a series and not even end it, just stop. Like, they wouldn't reach a conclusive endpoint, it would just stop being uploaded because, I don't know, it wasn't getting views or they just weren't interested in it. Like, they wouldn't even, and you know, I think it's fair to do that. Like, if you're not really super interested in something, you shouldn't force yourself to do it. So, like, nowadays I understand that perspective of, like, you can't finish everything, and that's fine. But as a creator myself, I had gotten locked into this mindset of, if I start a series or if I start a project, I want to complete it. I want to finish it. I do not want to stop short. And so that kind of held me back a bit this year, because one of the things I was doing, one of the things was a Pokemon Let's Play that I was able to finish up, my Red Rescue Team thing. And I could still do, like, post-game episodes of that, but I don't know, it's not super necessary. I finished the story. The Nuzlocke, I did stop, because, I don't know, I think if I want to do any more, like, Pokemon, just more general, like, Let's Play stuff, that'd probably be better suited for something like live streaming, which is something I want to get into at some point. Still not quite in the environment for that yet, but I can talk a little bit more about that later in a different section. But yeah, they weren't getting many views because I hadn't put in the effort to, like, make a Pokemon audience to, like, establish that. So, of course, people wouldn't be super interested in them if they subscribed to me for wrestling stuff. And that's fine. So I wrapped up the Pokemon stuff. You know, the one series I cut short because I'm just not really doing much with that. I had lost interest in it. The other thing was my final side project for a wrestling game. It was a series I felt like I had to do, and it did kind of, I think, start to influence the content a bit, because there were episodes where I would basically say flat out, like I was talking about it, like, yeah, I'm kind of losing interest in this series, but I want to finish it because it was like a sequel to, basically, I had been playing these 3 games, and I don't want to say crafting a story, but, like, taking, like, I was just doing a Let's Play with the game, but, like, making a story out of that, like, taking the events that would happen and, like, turning it into a narrative, trying to spin a narrative out of that. So it was like these 3 games I was covering, like, combined together to craft one big canon, one big quote-unquote story. So I wanted to finish the 3rd installment to complete the timeline and, you know, wrap it all up in a nice package. And I did enjoy making, like, the final episode where I did, like, a montage of the best moments of the 3 games, and here are the highlights of the story or whatever. So that was fun. Like I said, in getting to the end point, things were a little yeah, I had lost interest in it by the end. Like, I had a certain level of interest, but not like when I started the very first game where I was really having fun with it. I had kind of gotten to that point where, yeah, I was just finishing it to finish it because I didn't want to stop it short. So, wasn't probably as good as it could have been, but it's done now. And so I think in 2019, I'm going to be able to do a little better as far as output goes. As far as the wrestling channel is concerned, my real bread and butter, that universe mode that I've been working on for 6 years, I'm on the 7th game now. That one actually is a story I've been telling. I think I already explained what it is, though, because my audio's been cracking up, so I keep, like, stopping and restarting. So I think I've already talked about it. Obviously, the anime channel plays a role in how frequently I can put that series up as well. I guess basically to summarize it, over the first 4, well, I guess the first 5 years I had done it, the minimum episode count I had hit for, you know, a single game cycle, a single year of that series. I call it a season. So the lowest episode count for a single season was 71 before that 2018 game. So, yeah, that's a pretty high number. I was doing a pretty good job with it. Yeah, over time, things got more editing intensive, so I wouldn't be able to hit, you know, 100 episodes like I did in the 1 year, because I would just, those didn't require much editing at all, but over time I got better with it and made it more complicated. So, yeah, granted, I am aware that I won't be able to hit those high numbers again, but still, in the 2018 series, I only hit 23, which is less than a third of the minimum I had done for 4 or 5 years prior. So that was a blow to my self-esteem a bit, because I felt like I kind of failed there to keep the story moving, because I want to keep the story progressing. I do see that's a series that, like, realistically, if I want to really give my all to this YouTube thing, at least the anime channel, I would stop uploading on the wrestling channel at all and just focus on the anime videos. And sure, yeah, then I'd probably be able to keep a consistent schedule easily and not really have to stress out over that stuff. And I don't know, maybe if I wasn't doing the wrestling thing, maybe I'd be a little less anxious about, you know, writing a script. I don't know. I don't think that'd be the case, but maybe, who knows. But, like, the wrestling channel is another creative burden that I have to keep in mind. Like, the problem was that with 2018 and 2017 as well, it was harder in 2017 to adjust to, because I had spent all that time, 4 years, focusing exclusively on the wrestling channel. And so seeing that kind of waste away in 2017 and, you know, even more so in 2018, it was a little rough. But even though it might be a good idea for me to take a break from it, I had taken a few hiatuses with the channel, the series, mainly that series. I would take a few, I disappeared for, I think I had 2 or 3 different spans of like a month or 2 where I kind of dipped out. And that's why I only had 23 uploads instead of the 71 minimum that I had achieved before. So I do understand that the option is certainly on the table for me to not even end the series, but just stop the series and move on to other things. But because of the type of series that is, I can't do that. Like, I cannot find it in me to just give up on this project. So yeah, I'm gonna have to, that's gonna cut into my anime channel a little bit, and I'm gonna have to keep working on how to balance those two out. But like I said, with the side projects gone, I think it should be a little easier. Am I saying that I'm going to get 70 so odd episodes of that universe mode series up in 2019? I really don't think so. I think this year my goal was to get like 40 or 50 episodes done. So I do understand that now that those videos take more time to produce, that's just, there's a certain pace I'm never going to be able to get back to, because the only reason I was able to hit that pace in the first place was because the videos were so low effort in the past. You know, like the first year or 2 that I was doing it, even a little bit into the 3rd year. But that's my passion project, like that, and a couple of the, well, I mean, like the anime channel was a big passion project too, so I do like making those videos. But as far as the wrestling channel specifically goes, like I would I mean, that's what I did in 2018. I scrapped all my other side projects because the universe mode is the one I want to work on. It's, like I said, it's fan fiction. It's like an actual story that I'm telling. So, as I had said before on that wrestling channel, the only reason that I would willingly stop that series was like if I wanted to instead write an actual story, or maybe some other type of fan fiction, I don't know. But because that is a type of storytelling for me, yes, there's video editing involved too, and commentary and whatnot. I'm the whole project, basically. But it's the storytelling that I like about it the most. And so I don't really want to stop that series to just make more anime videos where really the anime videos, I'm not telling a story, I'm talking about stories. So they're like two different facets of my interest in writing and storytelling. One is more looking at how stories operate, and then the other is actually kind of putting those tools to use and making a story. It's through the world of professional wrestling and through a wrestling video game at that, so it's incredibly niche and probably, you know, it doesn't have a super broad appeal, but it's a story I've been working on for like 6 years now, and so, you know, I have invested a lot of time into it, so I have a strong personal attachment to that. So I don't think I'm ever really going to give that up. As I was trying to say, that got me on this tangent in the first place. Unlike the other stuff, which I have kind of been able to end, with this series, I don't really have like an end for the story in sight. With the events that I do, I have a potential event that I could see being the finale, but at this point, I have not made nearly enough progress in the storylines to figure out if that's going to work or not, to figure out how I would wrap that all up. But it's something that, like, it's malleable, the direction that I could take the project in, so that event is still, like, a ways away. Like, it'll probably take me another 2 or 3, maybe 4 years to even get there. So, like, if I was going at my normal pace, if I hadn't actually gotten screwed up in that 1 year, I think I had perceived that that end goal would have been, at the earliest, what was it, 2021, and that was, you know, if I had stayed on schedule, which I didn't, so, you know, it could get pushed back even further, so that is at least, like, 2 years out, but now that it's gotten kind of pushed back a bit, might even be more like 3, so it's still a ways away, and if I have to cut that short, like, if I have no other choice, I mean, I guess I'll do it. I mean, like, if I have no other choice, I have no other choice, but as long as I still have that choice, I'm gonna keep going through with it. So, yeah, my goal for my goal for 2019, I want to try to get an episode of that up once every 14-ish days. Like, I want to try to get a video up on that channel every other week at, like, the minimum. And, you know, I said 14-ish, so if it's more like 15 or 16 or 17, if I'm not able to fully hit that, yeah, that's fine. I need to, part of my, for the sake of my mental health, I need to be a little more forgiving with not meeting, like, my deadlines. Like, what I was talking about earlier, with being so used to putting out multiple videos a week, and now, obviously, I can't do that. Just the content that I make isn't suited for that. It would, I don't know, I would have to make a lot of adjustments, like, between the 2 channels and everything else, and some other changes I might be making in 2019. Yeah, it's not really gonna happen. Like, there could be times, like, if I really, like, put the anime channel on hold and then also really went at this thing, I could probably get, like, I could maybe get 2 videos out a week, but then I wouldn't be able to maintain that like I used to be able to. That's just, I just don't have the time, and I don't have, I guess, what's the other thing? It mostly is a matter of time and life stuff, because I do have to focus on other things. I'm not a high school student anymore, or I'm not a freshman in college where I can do mostly nothing else, and I can, like, focus on YouTube as just my one hobby. I do have some other things that I need to take care of. And this is something that I have, like, gone through and tested. Like, I have taken, like, in 2017, this was the big struggle I had. I would at times put the anime channel on hiatus and work on wrestling videos, and I would be able to meet my previous schedule of, like, basically the bare minimum I would want to do with that channel of getting the 2 episodes out a week and continuing that for a month or whatever. But then I would be putting out no anime videos, or I'd putting out an anime video once every 6 weeks or 2 months or whatever. And then it would be vice versa. So in the December of last year, when I put out like I put out 4 weekly videos, 4 out of the 5 weeks in December. When I did that, that was one of the hiatuses on the wrestling channel. So basically nothing came out that month, at least not with the main series. Because I finished the big event in November, and then I put it on hold after that event to focus on the anime channel. So I got out the weekly videos in December for the anime channel, but had nothing really going for the wrestling channel. The other thing was when I did March Madness in March, obviously. I did March Madness, and to do that, I had to put the wrestling channel on hold again, so nothing happened in March for that month. And before that, I had done, would have been July of 2017, I had put the anime channel on hold, and I was working on the wrestling videos. So I think, did I talk about that already? The audio messing up earlier threw me off, and I just have a tendency to ramble in general, but you know that if you follow this channel. Or maybe you don't know that. For a while, it was just a lot of Nensho podcasts coming out on this channel. So it's kind of, this second channel is another weird story that I'll talk about later, because I've kind of lost the idea of what's the purpose for this channel. Is it just the podcast channel now? I think I'll actually transition to that topic right after this thought, but my creative goals for both my YouTube channels in 2019 is basically I want to try to have I said about the wrestling video every other week, but I also want to try to have an anime video out once every 14-ish days. I want to see if I can pull that off. I've realized that the weekly thing, like having a weekly video out on each channel, really isn't feasible, but, you know, every other week, I think I might be able to do that. I think it might take a little bit of time to adjust to, and I don't think I'll be able to hit that every week for both channels. But like I said, I need to be more forgiving if I miss a deadline, as long as I'm still putting stuff out and still working on stuff. So I guess from there, I will segue into this side channel, which should be a shorter section. I don't really know what's going on with it anymore. Is it just the podcast channel? Because nowadays I feel kind of weird putting out a little rambly vlog, or even doing something like this, which is something as I said, it's more of a tradition. I like to do this every year. I've just done it on a different channel before. So, I don't know. Do I want to just let this go and just let it be the Nensho podcast channel? Or, I mean, like, this is the problem I guess I was going to run into eventually, because when we moved the podcast over to this channel back in, last year with Naruto, this channel was still, I hadn't really done a whole lot with it, and so it just kind of made sense to put the channel over here, because I figured, well, this channel's already got some followers, and like if we want to get it to, the 1,000 or whatever to get it monetizable, or I don't know exactly what all was going through what my whole thought process was at the time, but it made sense to move it over here to me at the time. When really we could have just started a new channel and called it the Nensho Podcast and just had it be the podcast channel. But I don't know, I guess Digibro had done, he's had his After Dark channel and he would do certain little podcast things there, or Pedantic Romantic had like the Manic Antics channel and had the Neo-Taku. So I don't know really what I was thinking, because now like there are so many podcasts on this channel, and it's been a little more time since, like, before we didn't want to move it for like the Bleach podcast because like we had just moved it for the Naruto thing. So I'm just like, not that I even really want to move the podcast off this channel. Like, I know it's an option, but because I don't put out a whole lot on this channel. I don't do a lot of some of that is maybe I feel a little de-incentivized or decentivized. I don't know what the proper terminology is. Like, there are certain points where maybe I would feel a little weird putting another video out on this channel that isn't related to the Nensho podcast. But at the end of the day, it is still called Math's Wizardry, so I could. It's not like, oh, I am deliberately holding back videos because this is the podcast channel now. And even if it was the podcast channel, I could still put out some things. Yeah, I'm going off the rails again. I do that too often. But yeah, I don't quite know what I want to do with this channel yet. I have considered just kind of like, then do I make another side channel? Like, either way, like, if we split the stuff, then it would just involve making a new channel. And I mean, like, there's no reason why I can't post these videos here and also host the Nensho podcast. Because like I said, when Pedantic Romantic had the Manic Antics side channel, she would have Neotaku and also do her little vlogs or whatnot every now and then. So like, you know, even if there was no precedent, I could still do whatever. I don't think, like, if people are here for the Nensho podcast, they can just not watch those videos, and, you know, that's fine. So I don't know. I'm still thinking about it. What do I want to do with this channel? Do I want to just rebrand this as the Nensho podcast and make a new Maths Wizardry and just kind of wipe all of my previous stuff from this channel and like repost some of the stuff to the Maths Wizardry? Well, I guess it would be a new Maths Wizardry, or maybe I'd come up with a new name. I don't know. I could say, what do you think? Like, what would be a suggestion, but I don't know. I don't know if anyone would come up with any different suggestions than, like, what I've already thought of. So what am I going to do with this side channel? That's up in the air for 2019. It's not a big concern for me. Like I said, I'm more focused on trying to stick to a decent upload schedule on the other two, so I don't need to really worry about side things on this channel, about starting up a vlogging career or whatever. Yeah, so this is just a thought in the back of my mind. So we're just going to push it to the background for now. So now let's go back a little bit to some more personal stuff. Let's talk about that aforementioned anxiety a bit, because I do think a not insignificant influence on that creative anxiety is just basically, it's not just that I feel a lack of worth in my content, like I question if my content has value, and more that in a large way, I've been questioning whether I myself have value, which, it's a weird thing to even think about, but anxiety is weird. So yeah, some of the things I was going through this year, obviously the gender situation. I realized I was, okay, so I didn't, here's a story I don't have to tell, like, I don't feel obligated to tell how I found out I was trans. It seems like a weird thing to, you know, discuss, but I want to talk about it anyway, because YouTube is like, I don't know, a video like this is like therapy for me, because, I don't know, somehow it's easier. I vocalized this in a script that I never released, so, or did I talk about it in another vlog? Maybe I did, but I know I wrote a script, and I just ended up, like, I'd even recorded audio for it, and I just ended up not releasing it. I still don't know if I'm gonna put it out or not. But yeah, I find it weird that I'm okay talking into a microphone, and then, like, so in the moment, right now, I'm talking into a microphone. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm talking to a piece of technology. And so then, like, I know that that's going to be posted, so it's not like I'm talking to nobody. Like, I know somebody is going to be listening to this right now, not in the moment that I'm saying it, but later on down the road, and, like, they can respond to that. So, like, I'm talking to somebody without talking to somebody, and I don't know, somehow that's therapeutic for me. I mean, like I said, I've been making videos for like 6 years, so maybe it's understandable that just kind of venting into a microphone has become kind of my comfort zone. How did I even get on that subject? I don't know. Anyways, trying to get back to the point, the gender thing. So, I only came out on Twitter, because that's, I guess, when I first came out in any form. Well, no, I had talked to certain people about it. So, it was August or whatever that I made the tweet. That it was such a weird way to do it, too. But, you know, at that point, I was just kind of like, part of it was like, oh, do I want to come out and mention this and make this a part of, like, do I want to, like, actually embrace this as part of who I am, or do I want to, I mean, like, I knew, but, I don't know, it's weird to kind of say what I'm trying to say. So yeah, in a way, like, I was a little scared, but I was also kind of like looking for any excuse to just slip it out there, to just float it out there into the world. And so I had a weird, like, quote tweet response to a Curious Cat question by Craftsdwarf, so that was weird. I did it in a weird way, but I came out, so that happened. But it's not like I just started questioning myself in August. I actually had been... Well, I talked about it a bit in my top 10 AniTube, or not top 10, but my 10 AniTube videos December 2018 wrap-up thing. I talked about how, like, it kind of started with Lachlan's very first video. Not the feelings of dysphoria, but just, like, the journey, I guess, because I watched that video, and I was already, like, I have always had a weird sort of confusion with trans people. Like, I never knew anyone personally. I think there was maybe one person in my high school, and I don't remember, I don't even remember what gender they were, but I think there was, like, a couple of people in my high school who were transgender, because I remember, like, I had a history class with somebody, and there was just one time where I had said a thing, and I think I might have misgendered them, but I wasn't 100% sure, and I just felt super uncomfortable. But, like, I never really made the effort to go out and actually research the subject, and so between, like, when that happened and all the way up until I was at, you know, my year at college, I hadn't done anything to look into it. I just knew that, like, I wanted to be accepting of those kind of people, but you kind of have to know a little bit. Like, you kind of have to make some sort of an effort to understand and empathize before you can actually empathize, I guess. So, basically, I watched Lachlan's video on Wandering Sun, and that piqued my interest in the show, because I don't think I had heard of it before that point, or known much about it, really. So, that came out in, what, May 2017? Or was it April? Well, it came out sometime in 2017. I didn't get around to Wandering Sun until, like, November, December of 2017. And I think I had done a little bit of looking into terminology and whatnot before then. Maybe I had seen a couple stories here and there, but didn't do a whole lot to, you know, I did a little bit to engage with the subject before then. But I watched Wandering Sun, and I didn't get it. Like, my video, I think, I don't want to say clearly gives that idea off, because it's a lot of not understanding in different ways, but because, like, there's even a quote in that video where it's like, oh, I can't relate to Nitidi because I can't relate to that gender dysphoria. I've never had gender dysphoria. Which now, like, I look back on it and I'm like, you don't get it. You don't understand. You do like I can look up a definition of a word, but not really get it. Like, I can understand the concept, but not understand the feeling. And Wandering Sun gave me a little bit of, like, feeling. Like, I could understand why the characters would kind of feel out of place, or why they would feel weird or uncomfortable or sad, or, you know, various emotions. But, like, I still hadn't connected the two. Like, I hadn't connected the definition to the feeling or whatever. But, like, I finished Wandering Sun, and that kind of, you know, made me want to, okay, I should look into this more. Like, I should actually get serious about trying to figure this stuff out. And so this also kind of coincided with Pedantic opening her Discord server, where a decent number of people who eventually realized they were trans, or knew ahead of time that they were trans, like, there was a trans little channel in there. And so I wouldn't even really, like, talk to these people, but because I'm socially awkward, I don't talk a lot. I think over the year that I've been in that server, I've posted maybe like 300 messages or whatever, maybe 400. It hasn't been a whole lot, whereas some people have posted like thousands upon thousands. So in my case, it was just a lot of observing and just paying attention. So when, like, the trans channel was there, and so some people would sometimes, you know, explain their story or talk about certain things, you know, like, not even really, like, they would be like, okay, here is how I realized I was trans, and da-da-da-da-da. Like, it wouldn't even be anything that direct. It would just be, you know, the way the conversation would go sometimes, or a certain article or whatever came out, and it would spark a discussion or whatever. Just a lot of me just kind of spectating that channel for a few months and just kind of absorbing the information that was being stated there. And, you know, every now and then I would see a story or whatever from someone. You know, not all of my experiences came from this channel, but this was a large part of it. I would just pick up certain little details that I thought were interesting. Interesting in that, like, I could also kind of empathize with that feeling. I don't know anything really specific. Like, it's not like I ever took a screenshot or anything of, like, this was a significant quote that I knew that it clicked in my mind, like, oh, I empathize with this. But there'd be little moments here and there over the course of a while. Because I think that opened in December, and it wasn't until late February, around March-ish, when I started feeling off. But in that time span, like, I was just kind of absorbing information from that, going out and doing a little more research. So then we get to March Madness, where that's where things started to... It was March Madness that kind of kickstarted it, where I started having some... just feeling disconnected from myself. This comes off pretty well in the... Which video was it? There were two of them. There's the Who is Mathwiz video, where it ends on this weird... me just kind of walking around my room and, like, looking at stuff, and I'm like, none of this really... This isn't me. This doesn't represent me. This is, like, a past me. Like, some of the stuff, like, I'm still into pro wrestling, so this one wrestling poster that I'm literally looking at right now that I showed in the video, it's right across from me, I'm looking right at it. But anyways, there was just that feeling of... that I did kind of convey in that little skit. Feeling disconnected from myself in a weird way, and not knowing how to explain that, not knowing how to, like, put that into words. Then I guess the second video was the existential horror of content creation, fittingly titled, I suppose. But, like, I knew I was going to do a skit in there where there's, like, multiple versions of Mathwiz, and I figured, well, wouldn't it be cool if I kind of changed up my look a little bit? And at this point, I was already kind of wondering, like, you know, am I maybe... So I was like, why not? I'll shave my face, and, you know, if I'm uncomfortable with it, I'll just grow the beard back. And yeah, so it'll be an experiment I had tried, and I never really grew it back. Like, there were, like, certain times, I think, like, over March Madness, I shaved maybe one more time over the course of that month, because you can see there are videos afterwards where, like, I did start to grow it back, but it never as full as it was in, say, day 13 when I did the reaction thing. I never grew it back to that extent, like, nowhere close. But a big part of what kind of caused these weird feelings, this weird disconnect I was having with myself, was just having to edit videos with me on camera, like, actually editing footage of me, because... yeah, I might have been making YouTube videos for 4 years before that point, or I guess this is 2018, so it would have been 5, because I started in 2012, but it was more like October 2012, so yeah, about 5.5 years by this point. But nothing really with me on camera. Like, the face reveal in the Full Metal Alchemist thing that I did in February, that was, like, my YouTube face reveal, like, not just on the anime channel, but I had never done a video on the wrestling channel with my face in it, so that was my bona fide face reveal. And so I did that knowing that I was going to do March Madness, that I was going to be working with a lot of on-camera footage, but because I had never worked with it before, I never really had a chance to kind of, like, obviously I would look at myself in the mirror from time to time with just daily life, but when I look at myself in a mirror, like, I don't often, like, talk to myself in a mirror, so it's not like I hear my voice and see my face and have to, like, connect the two. For whatever reason, when I was making the videos for March Madness, just listening back to my voice and looking at the face, the body it was coming out of, something felt off. Like, listening back to my audio in general it's a little weird. But that's, I guess, I'd imagine that'd be the case for anybody. Hey, it's midnight now, so it's New Year's at the time of recording this. Obviously, it'll be delayed. I don't know why I brought that up. I'm scatterbrained. But even in, like, high school, I would work on certain projects, but it was never, like, I never had to do a whole lot of editing with me, like looking at me. And certainly I had never done anything like after learning about gender dysphoria and that sort of thing and starting to actually kind of make the effort to understand what that was. I look at it as kind of like in Violet Evergarden when like Violet has to learn emotions, and you know, at the beginning of the series she's like, you know, I'm not burning, or you know, I'm like, she doesn't get it. She doesn't know that she's in pain because she doesn't know what pain is. She doesn't know what emotions are. But then when she goes through all the episodes to experience that and figure out what it is, then the quote gets turned back on her like, you know, you're burning, and she realizes that she is burning. She's in pain. She just never knew what that was. And so with like gender dysphoria for me, I had never heard of it until 2017, really. Like, I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what being trans meant. I didn't get it. And so I had to, like, reevaluate my worldview and think about, like, have this context in mind, because I was, you know, brought up to think, oh, you know, two genders and heterosexuality and blah, and some people are gay, but that's not the same as being trans. I don't know. I don't know how to explain things, and I'm just going off and weird. But I've explained all the basic things. Like, I had to recontextualize my worldview, and that also came around the same time that I was doing March Madness, so it was like a perfect storm of a lot of things happening, and me being in a very weird place mentally, and that, I guess, all worked together to kind of click into place that, hey, you might not be a boy, you might be trans, maybe. And so, yeah, it was around March when I think I first, like, started talking things out in the Pedantic Romantics Discord server. Or it might have even been February, because one of the scripts I wrote for March Madness, it was actually the existential horror of content creation script. I actually wrote that in February. You know, in isolation, I mean, like, it's not like this specifically says anything on its own. It only really has meaning if I choose to ascribe it meaning, I guess. But in the script that I had written for that comedy bit, the existential horror of content creation, there was the three me's. There was the me doing the video. There was the me who was like the angel person who's like, you know, do this and things, that had the shaved face. And then there was another one that I did kind of in between, where I like shaved part of it but not all of it, because I wanted all three to be like three different characters. They have three different looks. And so I had the one character that had, you know, that was like partially shaved but not fully, had this quote of like, you know, why do I have to keep the facial hair? I haven't seen my chin in years. And it's like, well, if this is, yeah, and then the one character is like, oh, does it even matter? This is stuff that just got pushed in the background and I ended up not even using. But yeah, and the one quote that's like, well, if it's a dream, why not go all out? Turn me into a girl. I've always wondered about my more feminine side. And, you know, like, on its own, that doesn't mean anything, but yeah, it's just something that I'm able to look back on as I've started to figure things out a little more, and it's like, maybe there's a little bit of something there. But yeah, I guess that's enough of a ramble about gender. I'm transgender, I'm a girl, and so that's something I get to work through in 2019. Anyways, to the point of just, like, anxiety, part of that was that, trying to be like, well, no, am I really trans? Am I, There's a whole doubt process there. And then there's just general stuff like, I'm in a weird place in my life right now. Like, I had the perceived direction that high school and college gave me, because, like, you gotta graduate high school and then you'll go on to college, and then you graduate college and you go on to a job or whatever. So, like, I would have eventually reached this point where, like, if I had graduated college, then it would have been find a job. It's not like college would guarantee that I'd go directly into, like, there's no immediate institution after that kind of keeps me progressing forward. And so having all that time of being in that institution, some form of school or university, it gave me the illusion of direction, like the illusion that I was still going towards something. And I mean, I was developing skills for certain things, but it's not like, okay, I'm going to graduate college and then go work at this place, like it's guaranteed, and then I'm gonna go to this thing. Like, it's not quite like it's not like building blocks. Like, it's not all going to one thing. It's more like you do this thing, and then you will use that to go somewhere else. So even if I had graduated college, I would have eventually reached this point of like, well, where do I go next? What do I do? And so dropping out of college just kind of put me in that position a little sooner. And that's not to say that, like, I do have goals with YouTube. Like, there are things I am progressing towards and want to progress towards. So it's not like I don't still have goals because I'm not at college, but I'm just at that weird stage in life, that aimless becoming adult phase like I described in one of my videos where I was talking about Sakura Quest. It's just a phase I would have had to go through eventually, and just trying to find my place in the world. And so that's weird. You know, I guess I'm a little lonely because, like, it's just, I'm like here with my mom and my sister, so like I'm still living with my family. And you know, the thing about college that was nice, like I did have that 1 year of college, and it gave me the taste of, I don't want to say freedom, because it's not like I'm shackled here. Like I still have independence in certain regards. But having that year at college where I was like on my own, and you know, I was independent in more ways there, that gave me the desire to like want to be independent again. And so like there are certain things that I can't or try not to do because I'm with family. Like if I want to record a video, I generally wait until the house is empty, just because I don't want to make a whole lot of noise and disturb someone else or have their background noise interfere with what I'm doing. So just something like that, something small. If I was like living on my own, obviously I wouldn't really have to worry about that. Then it would depend on like what sort of environment I'm in. Like if I'm doing a wrestling commentary, which involves a lot of yelling and shouting, but I live in an apartment with paper thin walls, that's going to be a concern anyway for neighbors. So there's a possibility that I would be in an environment where I can't do that at all. But that's something I'd have to work around. But I would, like, I don't know, it's a weird independence thing. And because college gave me a little bit of a taste of that, I've just kind of like wanted to get back to that. And so there's a little bit of insecurity there, a little bit of like wanting to do more. The other thing was Anime Expo, because on one hand, it was really great, really fun, because it was a huge step outside of my comfort zone. I was flying across the country, which is something I had never done. I hadn't flown in a plane since I was like 1 or 2 years old, so it's nothing I remember. So it was my first real like plane trip. And then going to an anime convention, I had never been to an anime convention before. I got to meet like people I had met online, so like I got to see the Pedantic Romantic and Zaria and Taser Lad and Manime Matt and Kraftsdorf, and I saw so many cool people at AX. But the downside is, as I mentioned in my top 10 AniTube videos thing, the post-AX depression. It was real. It hit me hard because I took so many like firsts, and like I really did something to step out of my comfort zone. Much like with that year at college, I want more. Like I got the taste of it, and it gave me that like a bit of dissatisfaction with where I currently am now. So between like the year at college giving me the taste of independence, and then the trip to Anime Expo giving me a little taste of, I don't know, I don't want to say unpredictability, but like getting me out of the norm, kind of breaking my routine a bit. That was nice. And like there are certain, like I'm pretty conservative with my money. Like I like to hang on to it for the, you know, like in the inevitable event that, you know, something comes up and I need it later. So that tends to be how I am with certain things. Like I like to hang on to stuff on the off chance that I'll need it later for a more serious thing. I don't buy, like, I did buy some manga this year, which even then, like, that's a lot for me. I generally don't buy a whole lot. I'm not much of a gamer, so I don't buy a lot of video games. Before, I didn't buy a whole lot of manga or anime. So, like, if I would get money, I would hang on to it and save it. So, like, when I worked my part-time job, customer service for a few years, most of that I had kind of hung on to because I just didn't have really anything to spend it on. I wasn't too interested in buying things. I'm pretty good with keeping myself content with what I have. So I don't want to go out and just spend money willy-nilly, like go to a bunch of conventions and whatnot next year. Like I want to save that and make it last. So like instead of going to, say, 5 anime cons in 2018, I'd rather, like, hang on to that and go back to AX again, knowing that that is where a lot of these people are going to be, and that's going to be a big chance for me to hang out with people again or hang out with new people. So on one hand, I do want to go out and do stuff, but then on the other, I also want to, like, I don't want to do too much because I want to hang on to the money that I would need to go out and do bigger things that I know that I want to do again, or know that I want to shoot for at a later date. And so 2018 had me in this position where I was just kind of stuck. I was just kind of waiting for an opportunity to show up, waiting for something to happen, and then boom, I'd be ready for it. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to go back to work and, like, you know, get another part-time job to help kill some time or whatever, like, or, you know, keep making more money, because I only make so much from the YouTube thing. But then I'm also interested in moving, which, you know, I'll talk a little bit more about later, because that's a little less of a pipe dream now. But then it's like, well, if I go back to get a job or whatever, and then, like, 3 or 4 months or maybe 6 months down the road, it's like, hey, I'm gonna move, well, then now I'm shackled to this job, and so then it's like, well, how do I, you know, move from there? And maybe I'm sure I'm overthinking this, because as I do, I overthink everything. So yeah, I'm just in kind of like this I was in this weird place of, like, waiting for something to happen, just trying to, like, not also do a whole lot, which could maybe make things happen, because, like, I didn't want to, because, like, what if I do a bunch of stuff and then nothing happens? And it's like, well, if something happens in the future, now I have nothing to go and pursue that. So, like, I was in a weird, contradictory place in 2018 for maybe not all of 2018, but a good part of it. It's kind of funny that I left my part-time job, though, because even if I hadn't done that in January, by, like, September, I would have had to anyway, because the place closed down. So that's a path I can't go back, at least, which is kind of nice to not, because I feel like if that option was still there and nothing else worked out, I probably would have gone back there. And, you know, I could still work customer service, but that made me a lot. I feel like working that customer service job made me a more cynical person. And, you know, I can still do it. I can go through it. I'm not a wimp, but, well, I don't know. I don't want to say it like that, because, you know, maybe someone has had, like, mental health issues because they had, like, some customers can be pretty shitty, or I don't want to say maybe they're not shitty people, but, like, they might just be having a shitty day, and so you're catching them at the wrong time, and they lash out at you. And yeah, that could definitely give you anxiety. So I don't want to say that, like, I'm not a wimp, but I don't know, like, I can go through it. I'm a little more mentally, at least in that sense, I'm a little more mentally stable, I think. Like, I have anxiety in other areas, but I think I can get through that. But on a bit of a broader note, one of the sort of concessions I came to terms with a while back, when I, you know, in part when I like dropped out of college, and then when I eventually decided to leave this job, like, I've realized that, you know, I'm okay with going back to work if I have to, and I've kind of realized that with trying to do what I want to do with YouTube, you know, I might look into doing some freelance in 2019, just seeing what kind of opportunities I can make there. But yeah, if I have to work, like, you know, a shitty dead-end job or whatever for a few years or whatever, or, you know, it's possible that, you know, this leads me to nowhere, this YouTube thing, and I might just be stuck working some job that I hate, that doesn't pay well or whatever. And, you know, that's a gamble I've taken. Like, so long as YouTube is around, like, I have the patience. Like, I spent how many years? Like, before I graduated high school, I spent 4 years of high school working on the wrestling channel for it to get maybe 10,000 subscribers at the time. Like, I've grown accustomed to, like, not gaining that kind of instant gratification, to not really getting the quick success, which is why when the anime channel blew up super quickly, I mean, it's died off since then, but, like, when that shot up to 10K, like, in the first few months, that blew me away. Like, I was not used to that. So, like, you know, if YouTube goes down, I guess I'm kind of fucked, and I'll have to find a new way to make something work. But, like, so long as YouTube is there, I'm okay with playing the long game with this. Like, you know, as long as I have time to work on videos, that's really my main concern. So if I have to go back to work at some place and maybe stick to a little... If I have to go back and work customer service again and do, like, years of that to, you know, maybe the YouTube channel, by that, like, after a few years, maybe it'll work, or maybe it dies and then I have to look for something else. That's the gamble I've taken. It's the road I walk. I guess I'm just thinking about this a little bit more because Mother's Basement posted a thing like, don't drop out of college or don't drop out of school to, you know, to pursue internet fame. And I'm like, well, I'm already here. Not much. I at least finished my, like, I made sure that if I was going to drop out that I would at least finish the first year. So, like, if I have to go back, like, if I at some point ever decide that I want to go back to school and try to cope with that debt, you know, I do at least have the year there, so, like, maybe there's some credits I can hang on to, but, you know, I'm okay. Like, I'm patient with this YouTube thing. I want to try to do as much as I can to help it take off quickly and, you know, try to get to a point where I can sustain myself, but, it's just a bit of a, we'll see where we go with it right now. You know, if I have to go back to work, I'm cool with that. You know, if it takes a little bit of time and it slows down my YouTube growth, but, you know, the YouTube channel, with the way the algorithm goes, unless I, like, make a terrible PR move and destroy everything, or unless YouTube, the algorithm completely kills anything and I somehow end up losing subscribers, which doesn't normally happen. Usually you're at least gaining something. So yeah, like, the channel will keep growing. Like, even when I wasn't posting anything, like, the channel was still getting new subscribers, so something, like, it'll keep making a little bit of progress. So, like, if I have to make it, like, if it'll take me a little while yet to get there, and my path is a little bit, takes a few more detours to get to where I want to be, I'm cool with that. Yeah, if I do come to a dead end, I guess we'll see where that goes. I guess I'll find a new path from there. My main concern was with college, because, like, people see that as, like, you know, in some ways, like, you know, I don't think maybe it's as prevalent of a mindset anymore, but, like, in some ways college is, like, if you go there, it'll help you get to somewhere. And for some people it does, for some people it doesn't. And my main concern with that was just the tuition debt, because, you know, I don't come from, like, a super wealthy family or anything. I was going to be paying all that myself, and I figured I'll take my gamble without the tuition debt, because I feel like eventually I would rather start with, like, a little bit of something to try to put towards something than to start at negative, but maybe get a job that, I don't know, it made sense in my head. And, you know, I'm not even saying I made the smart decision to pursue YouTube for, you know, drop out of college to become a YouTuber. Sure, that's... yeah, it's a very unpredictable thing I'm going for, very unstable, but again, you know, I played the risky game. We'll see if I crash and burn, and we'll see if something comes of it. I'm not the only person in this position. Other people have done something similar. We're all in this together, so I'll see. I'll see what the future holds. One thing that I'm hoping the future holds, though, is perhaps a new home, because I might be moving across the country next year. Still in the very early stages of, like, trying to plan that out and figure things out. But yeah, I might be moving to California, maybe. That's the goal. That's the goal right now. We're taking a few little steps towards that. One of the things holding me back was, like, I didn't want to go out there by myself. I wanted to, like, be with somebody else, maybe someone who knew the area, or at least someone to, like, help split costs, because California is more expensive than Pennsylvania. And I mean, like, it's inflation, so, like, if I got a job out in California, I don't know, maybe the wages would be a little better than in Pennsylvania, but blech, I don't know. We'll figure that out as we go. But yeah, I might be moving to California, and that's kind of exciting because, again, like, that's a bit of, like, it gives me a bit of direction to, like, know what I might be going for, which, like, I didn't, like, college kind of presented that, and then when I dropped out of that, I was a little aimless for a bit, and this is one of those things that kind of, like, gives me a goal to shoot for, and, like, tangible steps to potentially take to get there. I guess this can't really get its own topic because that's kind of all I had to say about that. But I mean, it's an option on the table. Something might come of it. But even if it doesn't, I'm definitely going to be going back to California at least once for Anime Expo 2018. I had fun there in 2017, so of course I want to go back. Wait, 2017? No, this is I just went there in 2018. We're in 2019 now. I got to get used to the new year. So I'll be going back to AX in 2019. I might be trying to go to Anime Central as well, because there seems like there's some cool stuff going on there. And, you know, basically some of the people I met up with at AX are also going to be going there. So yeah, I have a group to go with, which is a big help. I'm a little less, obviously I'd be flying across the country by myself, but, well, not if I move. I guess I'll be, if I'm out in California by that point, then I guess I'd be flying across the country from Cali, not from, well, that's semantics. But like when I went to Cali for AX 2018, I was by myself, so that was scary. But like I knew I was going to be seeing people at the destination. So like if I was just going me and I was just, you know, fending for myself the whole time, that'd be a little scary. Might be too daunting to perhaps take up the task, but you know, in this instance where I know I'll be like seeing people at the destination, makes it a little more compelling of an offer to go and potentially take that chance. It was basically the act of like going to one convention that made me think, okay, well, maybe I'll try to take some baby steps and try to be a little more outgoing in the next year. So, you know, maybe instead of going to one convention, I'll go to 2 conventions. And it's not like, oh, and then I'll go to 3 and then 4 and then 5. Like, it's not like I'm going to keep increasing the number of cons I go to, because cons cost money. And as I said, I'm pretty cheap with my money, so I don't want to take too many of those. But like, you know, a chance to go to a different place and maybe see some different people. So I don't know, it could be fun. Maybe I go to ASEN and then I'm like, well, nah, maybe I'll just stick to AX for now and I'll go back to my little bubble, my little comfort zone. So I don't know, it's a give and take. You do some stuff, see if it works out or not, then you plan accordingly from there. I guess the only other resolution that I can think of from 2018 was that I wanted to learn to cook, and I did not do that. I did not make any effort to learn how to cook, and I'm disappointed in that. But at the same time, I can't beat myself up too bad about it, because what good is that gonna do? I just need to try to do better. So 2019, the goal to cook is still on the table. Maybe I'll be a little more outgoing with it this time around. Maybe I'll actually learn to cook some things, and not like stuff you cook in an oven, like stuff you just put in, like actually like making stuff from scratch. Or I don't know how much is from scratch. Like if you make something with noodles, you don't make the noodles from scratch. I mean, you can, but you don't have to. Does that make it any less from scratch? I don't know. I don't know cooking. That's why I need to learn. Do I have anywhere else to go from there? I talked about YouTube. I talked about some personal stuff. Maybe a little too much about some personal stuff. Oh, another thing that I do want to try to do as far as like managing my time goes, I started like making a schedule for myself in 2018, and that fell apart, you know, around the AX. Like I started it, I think in January, Jesus Christ. Like May, June-ish. Because the other one is a hell of a time span, somehow going backwards. But yeah, around May, June-ish, I had started a schedule, and it worked for about a month and a half. Because, like, generally I'm decent at following a schedule. Like, as I said, I did that a lot on the previous days of the wrestling channel, where I would be good at planning things in advance. But this time I was trying to follow a schedule to maybe work on trying to balance the 2 channels and try to be better at planning that. That worked up until AX, and then I came back, and then in August I just got really depressed. Like, it's almost like a meme of how it happened, but I was watching Cowboy Bebop, and, you know, I went through most of the series just being kind of okay with it, and then I watched episode 24, it was the Call Me scene, and somehow that just broke me. Like, oh no, is my audio cracking again? Shit. Well, I'm almost done. I'm just gonna power through it. So, like, I watched this Call Me scene, and I was like, oh, that's sad, because like the gang is splitting up and they're going their separate ways. And then I started thinking about life things, and then I just became depressed. Like, really, like, I mean, I've always had like a level of anxiety going on, and I've always been like always had like a level of sadness just floating around. So it's not like I just suddenly became depressed because of Cowboy Bebop, but like that triggered something with me. Something about that scene just flipped a switch, and I was like, well, there's no going back now. And that kind of wrecked me for the rest of the year. So the meme, stop cracking audio. The meme way to say it is Cowboy Bebop made me depressed. That's what happened in August, and that ruined my chance of following the schedule. So I want to try to get a little better with that in 2018, and part of my effort to perhaps get better at following a schedule of managing my time is to maybe try to cut back on my YouTube time a bit, maybe try to watch a little less AnyTube, watch a little less YouTube in general, maybe put that time towards other things like, I don't know, anime. My job to watch anime. Maybe I should watch anime, guys. Galaxy Brain, watching anime might help me make videos on anime. Whoever thought of that? So, yeah, maybe I should spend a little less time on YouTube. I'm gonna take a stab at that, see if I can cut back on my YouTube time. Maybe I should at least start with like trying to monitor my YouTube time to figure out, because there are some days where I don't use YouTube a lot at all, but then there are a lot of days where it's like, well, I'm bored, what do? Let's watch a YouTube video, I guess. I think I've gotten a little better at like not forcing myself to follow like, oh, this AnyTuber uploaded a video, must watch all of them. I think I've gotten a little better at reining myself in, but I want to make more of a conscious effort to keep track of what I do, and maybe figure out if I should cut back on it, and probably do that. Some of my other goals are going to be a little dependent on whether or not I move, so I guess that's about all I have to say today, and my audio I think is still cracking, so I'm going to stop here. Thanks for listening to my madness ramblings. Yeah, that's 2018 down the drain. 2019 is here, and I'm hoping to make it a good one. I hope you can make it a good one, and hopefully my audio will not crack in every video in 2019. So thanks for stopping by, and I will see you, or I won't see you, but I guess I'll see you in the comments, but like, you won't see me, but you'll be listening to me next time.